spend so much time believing all the lies to keep the dream alive. Now, it makes me sad. It makes me mad at truth for loving what was you. Eyes without a face. Les yeux sans visage. Eyes without a face. Les yeux sans visage. Eyes without a face. Got no human grace. Your eyes without a face. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, coming at you deep from the heart of our underground lair, unmasked, uncensored, and unbridled. Here we are.
I'm definitely unbridled.
Yes.
Definitely unbridled. Great to be back with you. You know, we haven't seen each other for a little while. I know that time is instantaneous, just like Back to the Future.
Yes.
For all of our listeners out here. But for you and I, we haven't seen each other for a little bit. Jay, I'm going to, again, like I said with the streak, I'm catching DiMaggio.
Yes.
And I know the answer to this.
Figured you would. I just didn't want to jinx it ahead.
Good. I'm glad you didn't say anything because I probably would have freaked out and blanked.
But with the topic today, this is the perfect song.
Yeah.
So
now I'm going to announce that I know it. It is Billy Idol.
It is. Eyes without a face. Billy Idol.
I'm at like 50% now.
No.
Oh, okay.
Not even close.
Well, I was that Minneapolis curve. I was going to think maybe you used to be in that school district. Maybe you had that.
That's true. You could get an incomplete and still pass the class.
Yeah, you
said
said
the administration would come down and tell you.
That's right. You sent me down to the office. They'll just send me right back.
Right. You can't fail that
Return
many
to
kids.
sender.
Yeah. You can't fail that many kids. Oh, yeah? Watch me. No, you can't fail that many kids. They didn't do any work. You can't fail that many kids.
You know,
okay.
I'll tell you what. I'm having, I don't want to say fun today. But, you know, today we're recording the show on July 14th, just for everybody out there. Today was supposed to be the peak COVID day.
Ooh.
Do you know that?
We should have thrown a celebration here.
Well, I mean, I wanted to keep it. I wanted to keep it secret here from everybody. You know, I keep things close to the vest.
Yes.
We were supposed to have 3,000 ICU beds in use today.
Okay.
And 1,000 deaths. Okay.
Wow.
So that's what our experts, you know, the people that we can't question them, we can't question their motives. Whatever they say was brought down with Moses. Yeah. You know,
you mean the college kids that created the models?
It doesn't matter who it is. If they got alphabet soup after the name, I don't trust them. Right. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. Okay, Dr. So-and-so, you know what? You're on my poop list right now. So here were the actual numbers today. Instead of 3,000 ICU beds, we had 107. So the experts were off by 96%. Now, Jay, let me tell you something. If I randomly picked a number between 107 and 3,000, I would have been more correct than these so-called experts. We were supposed to have 1,000 deaths. We had 6. That was 99.4% off.
Wow.
In fact, we've had more traffic deaths so far in July than COVID deaths. I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm just trying to say, when we think about our topic that we're going to get to in a minute here, you know, the definition of what an emergency is really is important. And also, I'd like to know, I thought ICU beds and deaths were what we were worried about. Now we've shifted to cases.
Yes.
Now it's all about cases.
But
wait a minute.
Good. We want cases where people aren't being hospitalized. Cases where people aren't ending up in ICU and dying.
Well, I mean, but it's a virus, okay?
Right.
It's going, I mean, we may never eradicate this thing 100%. Ever.
That's true.
So, I mean, you know, like we said, there's no cure for the common cold. And look, this is worse than that, okay? I'm not comparing this to the flu. I don't want hate mail about that. But the point being that when I listen to experts and, you know, you have to do this and this is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what, pal? None of you people have been right yet.
Yeah.
So why am I concerned with Dr. Seuss telling me blah, 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 blah about this when this moron hasn't been right once?
You know, I question whether these experts would even make it in the field of meteorology.
I mean, that's you talk about low standards for a job. I mean, I've been watching Dave Dahl since the 80s, and I can count on one hand how many times he's been right. I mean, I've met him, actually. Good guy. And, I mean, I know he's doing what his computers tell him, but somebody feeds that info into the computer.
Right.
Okay, so, I mean, it was supposed to rain buckets today. We didn't get wiener today. I mean,
it was supposed to rain buckets today?
It was supposed to rain from like midnight to like 5 in the afternoon.
Wow. It rained a little bit. Although, when I looked at my phone this morning and looked at the Weather Channel's weather app, it said there was not going to be any rain today.
Well, I was following.
And there was.
My favorite thing is when it's partly cloudy or partly sunny. I don't know how that's defined.
I don't
My
know.
other favorite thing is when there's like a 40% chance. Now, what does that mean exactly? That 2 out of 5 times it's going to rain, or that if I'm in New Hope it might rain, but if I'm in Maple Grove it isn't going to rain? I mean, it's I don't know what the hell does that mean? Anyway, I want real quick, Jay, before we get going here. You know, everybody on the show here knows I live in Plymouth now, and I've lived in Plymouth for a little over 3 years. And one of the expertise that you and I bring anywhere is our ability to weed out government speak.
Yes.
You know, we know our favorite words. You know, whether that's sustainability or you know, I think of education. I think of, the soccer moms just love college readiness and that kind of stuff. Yeah. I know government speak when I hear it. And one of the great things, I got to give Plymouth credit. I mean, they have this newsletter. Mm-hmm. Almost every city does this.
Yes.
And they send it out every 2 months. At my house, I get a newsletter about the great things. I'm paying for them to send me news through the mail, which is not cheap when there's 60,000 people living in a city.
Right.
I mean, they could just as easily email this thing or something like you could sign up for it if you want to hear it or whatever. But no. We're still in the 70s here. We've got to mail it to everybody. And I found the ultimate. I mean, I read like 4 paragraphs of this entire thing. I can't take it. I just can't, because it's all just about how Plymouth is the greatest city on earth, and I mean, their city council is just, I mean, they're just wonderful. I mean, they're just so open and transparent, and all they do is do what the people want and all that. Well, the city council okays a bid process for the Plymouth Creek Center project. This is a $52 million project with $9 million on top of it for maintenance of the existing building before it's renovated. So there's a $61 million price tag to this.
So we're going to fix the old building before we completely renovate it.
It really doesn't say.
Okay.
It's just they might have let this slip out here, figuring people like you and me wouldn't read it. And I want to say this expansion includes all of these new features: gymnasiums, walking track, indoor playground, multi-purpose rooms. I don't know what that is.
Well,
is that where you can eat and read?
Well, so those would be 2 purposes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That would be multi-purposes. Maybe you could
wrestle and play cards. You can. I don't know.
Sleep and listen to music.
Yeah, Duck, Gray Duck, and tag. Fitness and Wellness Studios, which is yoga, aerobics. I'm sorry. I don't know what a Zuba class is. Doesn't matter.
Zubas?
Yeah.
That sounds like a class you'd go to.
Hold on. I got to make this big.
Okay.
Zumba.
Zumba.
Zubas. Art rooms.
It's
They're going to have art
some
rooms.
sort of exercising. Took the place of like 80s aerobics, I think.
Okay.
Zumba. It's like, Joni Greggins and Richard Simmons.
Okay, all right. You throw your beach ball around and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
Art galleries. Here's another one. Common space. Gathering and lounge area. Isn't that a multi-purpose room? I'm sorry.
Wait. What was that called again?
Common space.
Ooh, are they going to... Kind of a little foreshadowing here. Did they say that they're going to require masks in that common space?
I don't know. That's in the uncommon space. Dance studios, party rooms, music rooms,
Music rooms.
Renovated ballroom, redesigned black box theater. But listen to the Park and Recreation Director, Diane Evans. Now, okay. Jay, I want you to hear this. I'm gonna say one sentence.
All right.
Quote.
What, I have got my ears on, in the word of Roscoe Pico. So.
With the global pandemic, timing for this project may not seem good at first glance. Okay. However, Jay, you give it 2, 3, 4 glances.
It's looking really good.
It's looking really good. It's kind of like when you're at the bar and you're sitting across from Dianne Feinstein. And, you know, that first glance has got to be rough. But that 4th or 5th O'Doul's, I know you're asking for the check, okay? I mean, I'm just saying. No, you got to have like 31 shots of Jägermeister. Anyway, here's the point. She goes on.
Yes.
Not good at first glance. But, of course, only somebody who worked for government would go on right here.
Right.
However, interest rates are very low. And as companies are looking for work opportunities, we expect to receive competitive bids. Well, let's hope. What are you going to do? First come, first serve?
Well, you know, a lot of these cities, it's like, hey, we have our preferred contractors, and that's who we use.
Right. Good point. And here's the other thing. Yeah. Both factors are expected to result in project cost savings. Now, we just show this is going to cost $61 million.
Yes.
Now, what do you want to bet it costs $59.8? And they're going to claim there's a $1.2 million savings out of this.
No. I believe that, as with all government things, they make a projection of 61. It's actually going to come in around 67, and they will take a bid for 65.
Oh, wow. That's even more cynical than me. But I tell you what, I couldn't stomach any. This was the first article in this news.
So here we are talking about bonding.
Yeah.
You know, okay, interest rates are great, but the Fed is buying all sorts of our debt at every level. The Federal Reserve is buying, and the people have to pay back both the interest and the principal to the bondholders.
Right, and keep in mind, I don't know what percentage of that is going to be borrowed and what percentage of that. Obviously, they don't have the cash.
I don't think they've saved a penny for it.
Yeah, they probably, the 50 cents.
Sounds like they just thunk it up recently.
Possibly. Could be. I don't know. But I mean, again, just think about this as an equivalent, yes. Jay. I got an introductory rate on my credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, you know what? I'm going to go buy a trip to the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm. Just
simply so I don't have to pay any interest in the first 3 months. Well, there's a problem. Number one, I got to pay that eventually. And eventually interest will be charged. And I'll pay $10,000 for that $3,000 trip. Now, it may not be that extreme here, but we all know what happens. You get one big building in 20 years it'll take. 5 years later, the police need something. Of course, they haven't saved a nickel because they're paying debt plus interest back on something else.
And in bonds right now are what? Interest rates are sitting at about, 3 to 3.5%.
Depending on your rating.
Yeah. So...
But even 3% over 20 years. I mean,
that's still,
look at a home mortgage.
$1 million. That's for every. Let's see.
Well, you minus the principal. The first years when you pay the most.
$30,000 for every million.
Right. So in the first year, when you're owing $50 million, that's a lot of dough.
Yeah.
And then the principal goes down, but you're still paying that 3%. Then the principal's, the interest is front loaded like it would be on a loan.
Right.
So, I mean, if anybody in Plymouth understands how it works, I mean, I'm not convinced anybody outside the finance guy could explain it.
Well,
so it just warms my heart.
Yes.
That we're creating this at a time of a pandemic where people can't gather in spaces, but we're going to build something to gather in spaces. So, just very strange things.
And when not nobody, but when many people are not working, we're going to saddle them with more taxes.
Well, of course. We have to.
Yes.
They got to have, when they get back to their jobs, they got to have a reason to work. Now, speaking of unmasking everything,
yes.
Well, we're going to have a fun with the we're getting masked everywhere here. I mean, with this wearing a mask is all of a sudden now the cure-all. 5 months into a pandemic, and all of a sudden and it's funny. We just went over numbers. I mean, the numbers here in Minnesota are like pre-Easter numbers right now.
Right.
Yet, Jay, between you and me, it feels like panic is way higher. Why has panic gone up? Wow.
Because there's an uptick in a few places that are pretty densely populated. California shut back down entirely because their California
governor is an idiot.
Yeah. In Texas, they've had to adjust a little bit, and in Florida, they've had to adjust a little bit.
But Texas and Florida never really went through a big first wave.
They never did. Not really. Maybe a little bit like in Houston and Dallas, but yeah.
And Florida worries me because of the elderly population.
Right.
I mean, that I'm not surprised at. But I still feel like, if you look at cases as a percentage of deaths, Florida and Texas have had like 1/10 of the deaths that like New York and New Jersey have had.
Right.
Even though their cases are up.
Right.
I mean, it's all around down there, but it seems like we can't put anything into perspective.
Well, and I think like in Texas and New York, they're not throwing their sick patients into long-term care facilities either. And that probably helps, New York being the worst in the nation at that. But percentage-wise, I believe that Minnesota is probably right at the top.
Probably.
Being, 80% of our deaths happen in long-term care facilities?
I think it's down to like 78% now.
Oh, really? Oh, we're making progress.
Yeah. I mean, here, put it to you this way. July 12th, nationwide, we had 395 deaths due to COVID. Okay. On May 6th, we had 2,708. I mean, just to put into perspective, deaths are down 1/8.
Huh.
And even though we had something like 50,000 cases, we had way less people, thankfully, passing away. And hopefully that trend, I hope it's zero. I mean, I do. But ultimately, that's just not going to happen right now. But even though deaths are way down, and in places like, you look at Minnesota, you look at the 5-state region here, Minnesota, Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin. We have the most deaths. And we were on a stay-at-home order the longest. Mm-hmm. We are still the least open of any of these 5 states. Yet we have, Wisconsin, which has been open for 2 months, has fewer cases, fewer deaths, fewer everything.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So who says? Who says we're doing it so great? I mean, it could be way worse. Don't mistake what I'm saying. I don't want it to be. But, South Dakota, I don't even think they've reached 100 deaths in South Dakota.
No.
And, the president had a rally there. They had fireworks. Sturgis is coming next month.
Yeah. It's and look at Georgia. They never really had a huge outbreak there.
April 27th, they reopened.
Yeah. And they're not in the news.
Yeah, they've gone up and down, but as expected. I don't think that...
A little bit.
And wasn't it expected, as we opened the economy more, we would have more cases and less... We got through the first, bad part. Do we really think that when we opened the economy, which we had to do, we have to do it, we would get... think about it like this. In Minnesota, we started opening retail on May 18th. Mm-hmm. Indoor restaurants have been open for 5 weeks now.
Yeah.
Yet hospitalizations and deaths have kept going down despite that. So it's kind of, which again is head scratching as to why. I think it was the long-term care, but so anyway. But like I say, the paranoia seems to be more now than it was a month or two ago. A month or two ago, everybody was pissed off that they couldn't go anywhere. And now it's kind of like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm sitting here scratching my head. I know the media is a big part of it. They're trying to find bad news.
They are.
Trying to blame the president for it or whatever Republican they can. If they could demonize the governor of South Dakota, or they could demonize Brian Kemp, like you said, he hasn't been in the news for 2 months.
No.
I mean, so what? And it trickles down to the one thing that we're talking about today is these mask mandates.
Right.
You know, we're 5 months into a pandemic. And now it's like, oh my God, you have to wear a mask or we're all going to die. You want to kill people. If it's like, whoa here.
Yeah, I love these people that get on like Twitter or whatever, and they're like, Governor, please pass a mask mandate. Please. These fascists that think that you single person ought to have the ability to control the freedom of millions of Minnesotans.
Yeah, like our freedom hasn't been controlled enough.
Right. And you think that you, Susie Hussenfuss from McGregor, Minnesota, or where? Well, no, let's get real. Nobody in McGregor is saying this. They're in Edina or whatever.
No, Seymour Butts over in Minnetonka.
You know, you've got to control this. I'm sorry. If you're afraid, then you don't go outside, or you put on a mask, or you do what you need to do to feel secure. But don't you go around and think that you have the right and the authority to control millions of Minnesotans.
Well, they do think that.
They do. That is some incredible hubris.
Well, and I mean, you know, the first thing, because I'm torn. I don't favor a mandate, but I am torn. You and I are local guys.
Yeah.
We believe that the government closest to us should be the most important. And in politics, we have it backwards, and you and I have spent 3.5 years on the radio here talking about that. But, Jay, the idea that every form of government is going to declare an emergency for as long as they want to, or whatever, goes above and beyond. Look, we're way past this being an emergency. Jay, if I had a heart attack tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, we're recording this on a Tuesday. If I had a heart attack tomorrow, I had a surgery on Friday, and I came home next Monday. Mm-hmm. Second I walk in my front door of my house, the emergency's over.
That's right.
I mean,
you get handed a broom and a.
That's right. A honey to-do list is back. Okay, I'm fixing the toilet.
You walk in the door and you get met with a honey-do list.
Dishwasher's full, even though I wasn't there for a week. But the point being that. Yes, I need to be careful. Mm-hmm. Eat my Brussels sprouts and my broccoli clumps and my whatever celery with no ranch. Okay, but the emergency is over with.
Yes.
Okay, the same concept has to apply here. That we can't say because there are some COVID cases or there's some people in the ICU or a handful of people are dying now. At some point, don't we have to set a standard where this is no longer an emergency and no longer can a governor who signed his 79th executive order today, no longer can just decide what business can close, what business can open, decides who can be employed and who can't be, decides, he spent federal dollars, which he has no authority to do. It's clear in the legislature. It's clear in the Minnesota Constitution.
Yeah.
I mean, how long can this stretch? Are we going to wait till we have no cases before? Even then, well, it could come back. But we got to make sure it could. I mean, our school district's going to declare emergencies. You're looking at. We talk about a mask mandate. Yeah. The entire county of Ramsey is considering one, and my guess is, knowing that board.
Yeah,
they're gonna pass it because everybody else has, and they got to get into the game. If
Ramsey does it, Hennepin County will.
Hennepin County will slobber all over itself to do that. So, at what point here is this not an emergency anymore on any level?
Well, That's a great question, and I think that I don't know. I mean, it could just. I hesitate to say, well, this could just be the new normal. This is the way that we do life from here on out.
I never want to hear the words new normal again.
I know.
I'm going to shake hands with people to the day I die.
Me too. Me too. But you know what? I could see, as long as there is something that they want to control, trying to keep control, there is no way that this governor is going to give up any control before he has a say in whether schools reopen or not. There's no way he is going to give up control when we don't know if there's going to be another resurgence or cycle of this in the winter. He certainly is going to want to have an iron fist around the ability to open and close things.
And it's certainly not going to happen before November, because after Trump told them, F you, we're not bailing out your state. What do you want to bet? He's hoping in January he gets a different answer.
Yeah.
I mean, are we being that cynical here that
everybody votes from home and they register anyone they want to? And I had heard
they do that anyway.
I had heard a story today about a couple that received a piece of mail saying that their cat, who had been dead 12 years, was now registered to vote.
Really?
Yeah.
Whiskers Johnson was
something like that. Yeah. So to say that there's not going to be some problems if we do all of this.
Well, and that's another thing too. They can't get
mail.
They can't get vote by mail unless it's an emergency.
Yeah.
I mean, you can declare one and close. You could even close polling places if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Because that, again, controls who comes out.
Exactly.
And it also controls who can same-day register. Mm-hmm. It controls who can vouch. It controls poll watchers can't watch. Yep. And election judges can't do their jobs. I mean, there's a whole host of garbage that can come with that. So I think you're right that there is really cynical motives here. But look, we're not going to have a new legislature for 6 months, whatever way it goes or whatever happens. And you're not going to see this.
No.
I thought a few months ago this might stop, because I think people were under pressure in purple districts but I think that they have enough cover with what's going on in other parts of the nation. They know a certain number, especially their base, who sits and watches CNN all day. And they've kept them in fear. They've kept enough people in fear that I think they can get away with it. So I don't think this is going to end until at least January, the emergency stuff. And I'm going to take it a step further. When you call a special session, okay, that is not for all your little pet projects.
No.
And again, this is where it could take a little, why both parties suck, because it could take, like I said, Gazelka and the Republicans passed yesterday that they were going to take away the governor's powers. They got 2 Democratic votes, I think, but not enough. I mean, it doesn't matter how many they get. It passed. They should have adjourned 5 minutes later.
Yep.
What's Walz going to do? Little twerp can pound his desk all he wants to. He can't. Hey, we called a special session. The emergency powers are what we're here to discuss. But, of course, the Republicans didn't do that.
No.
Which tells me that there's behind-the-scenes deals going on bonding bills, police reform, which is a local issue, spending, aid to whoever, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be a run on the Treasury in the state. And you're going to see...
meeting with Education Minnesota.
Sure, you're going to have DFL and DFL Light again.
Yeah.
And... that's where we're headed. And again, the Republicans let this happen. They lose every drop of leverage that they have. Mm-hmm. What is the incentive? For Walz is going to do is wait them out and say, they'll cave. Eventually they'll cave. Who is down at the Capitol protesting, saying we need a bonding bill? Who's doing that?
Yeah.
We don't pass one. How many Minnesotans would notice? Okay? So, the only people that would be professors at the University of Minnesota who don't get their $30 million building. We're already voting Democratic anyway. That's who would notice. Mm-hmm. We're not going to get votes. The Remember, I'm independent now. They're not going to get votes no matter what. So, I don't know what's going on. I don't care to know. They could screw up a one-car parade, and I think we're going to be doing a show on about Bill Ferries. That's going to be a very angry show because I don't care. I don't care. They say it's 1.3. I told you before it will be 1.7, 1.8, 1. Just trust me, folks. I know I've sucked lately at prognosticating, but I'm telling you this time I'm right. That's where we're headed. Now,
Walz wanted $2.5 million. So
his compromise was to go from $2 billion to 2.2. That was his compromise. That's where he moved.
Right.
So the Republicans should have gone from $1 billion to $500 million. That's what they should have done.
Should have gone
or
to
zero. Yeah, $1. I'd have done $1. I'll pay interest on $1.
Just like the Price is Right? Yeah, it's the low bid wins. You're all over. I bid $1.
Now the mask race.
Yeah.
Okay? The mask race. We got to come up with a name for this. The mask. It's like you got the Indianapolis 500, and we got the Mask 500, or the AT&T Chrysler Mask Classic. I don't know. Come up with something, but we got all of these places now.
Yeah.
That are masking it up.
Yes.
Okay, you have a list of them.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be caught maskless in any of these areas.
No, that is for sure.
Jay, you share with us, what are the areas?
Okay, well, this is based on a KSTP article that came out today, so this is changing all the time.
Yes, the race to add your name.
Yes. Who's the most woke?
That's right. We are masquerading as the most woke. No. We're masquerading to the front here. In fact, I've got a theory that I'm going to share in a minute, but you tell us where we have to masquerade.
Well, let's talk about this. Universities and colleges. The University of Minnesota Crookston, the University of Minnesota Morris, because that's so densely populated out there in Morris, and Crookston as well. University of Minnesota Twin Cities. Noticeably absent from that is the University of Minnesota Duluth, but we'll get to that in a moment.
They don't have to.
St. Cloud State University and St. Catherine University. Cities and municipalities, the city of Blaine. That one is requiring all visitors to wear a provided mask or one of their own when entering government buildings only. The city of Duluth, requiring all residents and visitors to wear face masks in publicly accessible common areas of buildings, and businesses that aren't publicly accessible can be exempt so long as 6 feet of social distancing is possible. Businesses can be fined $100 for a first violation, with higher fines for repeat offenses.
Why are the businesses fined?
Yeah.
They got to be the mask police?
That's what they're saying, yep. You get people to wear masks in your business, or... So the people walking in without masks, of course, will be the ones that administer the fines.
Well, yeah. How does the fine get... Do we have the hotline to...
Oh, yeah.
The Department of Health has a hotline encouraging people, if they don't see a certain people at bars and restaurants or something, that you can call them and report.
1-800-Tattletale or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, okay. The city of Edina is requiring face masks inside public spaces, including retail establishments and city-owned buildings like City Hall. Exceptions include the city's recreation facilities when social distancing can be maintained. The city of Minnetonka.
It's added very recently.
Yes. Oh, super dense city, right?
No, especially around the lake.
Wow. Yeah, you can hardly move in Minnetonka. It is requiring face masks for those who are over 2 years old and can medically tolerate a face covering when in an indoor space of public accommodation.
So, how is that defined? I walk into a gas station in Minnetonka. I mean,
yeah.
Walk to your neighbor's house. Does that mean? I guess that's not a public. Government defines it very.
When the indoor space of public accommodation. So yeah, I mean any business or any government building, or I don't think your neighbor's house would count. That'd be a private accommodation, but. The city of Minneapolis is requiring face masks to be worn inside businesses and other indoor facilities.
Yeah.
Now, that one does not say public.
Yeah, now, how'd my buddy Bong Wang vote on that one? Anybody know?
Don't think he's on the Minneapolis City Council.
Oh, I thought he was.
I don't think
That's
so.
some other Wang?
I think he was.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think he is.
I don't know which Wang you're talking about, but we'll just.
The city of St. Paul is requiring face masks to be worn inside city buildings and at all businesses licensed by the city. So, not quite as stringent there. But listen to how that's phrased. It's all city buildings and all businesses licensed by the city. What does that tell you if you're a business owner who's licensed by the city? Say a hairstylist or insurance agent. Well, maybe that's state. That's not city, I guess.
But they're building permits and stuff like that.
True. Any kind of. It doesn't say what kind of city license, I guess.
I'm sure it'll be interpreted broadly and in the city's favor.
Yes.
I have to take a wild guess.
Right. So if you're a business that is licensed by the city, a liquor store, okay, so what does that tell you as far as masks?
Well, it tells me
mask enforcement goes.
It tells me everybody has to wear one and you're the enforcer of it.
But what else does it say? The way that they phrased that.
Read that again, Jay.
The city of St. Paul is requiring
I don't like it when you stump me.
Face masks to be worn inside city buildings and at all businesses licensed by the city.
Okay, I'm blanking.
Doesn't that tell you that maybe they can pull your license?
Oh. I'm sure they'll threaten to.
Because why don't they say all businesses? They're only putting the screws to the people that hold the city licenses because they can use them as leverage.
Yeah, they can only screw who they can screw.
So they're holding the city licenses as leverage on businesses that won't comply.
Well, but I mean, again, is it the business? I mean, if I'm a business owner, look, I'm not the mask police.
Nope.
And I can't be. I can't run a business profitably and run around and, make sure somebody who is, in the bathroom peeing has a mask on. Now, I want to tell you finish up the list of cities.
Although
here.
I will say, to add on to your point there, and it pains me to say this because this business has really good burgers, and I like eating there. And now
talking about Five Guys again?
No, I'm not going to talk about Five Guys.
Okay.
So I do like their burgers. I like burgers, period. Freddy's has really good burgers, and there goes our endorsement of any chance of endorsement in the future. The Brooklyn Park location, when you go in, has signs that say, due to statewide regulation, masks are required when you enter here. Sorry, there's no statewide regulation.
It's not. I've seen that at other places.
No,
too.
You're a liar.
Yeah,
you're a lying business, and that's
it's business attempting to put the blame on somebody else.
But you do go in there without a mask, and I've seen it. They don't mind policing it.
Well, I mean, look, I don't know the perfect answer there.
Yeah.
I just know that businesses that have been closed, that have been at 50% capacity. I went and got my hair cut, and I mean, it was stringently enforced. But I think they're afraid. I think they're not so. I think two things. One, I think they're afraid to get reported and get blamed. And I think they're also, they really, truly, and honestly don't want to get anyone sick. They really don't. And I really do think that they're doing what they have to do to stay open.
Yeah.
And what they have, if somebody gets sick, it ain't going to be from here.
Well, again, hair cutting and hairstyling is a close contact business.
It is, but it's a one-on-one thing.
I can understand that,
Yeah.
Wanting to keep people healthy. As to, the efficacy of masks and, that's something they have to decide. But, I mean, it does put some people at ease. It doesn't put other people at ease. But when you're in close contact like that, I can understand it. When a customer just comes in and picks up some food and, that why you have to lie and say that there's a statewide regulations. No, there's not.
Yeah. By the way, I want to say two things. Minnesota statutes 209.735, concealing identity. Mm-hmm. This is what the Minnesota state statute says. A person whose identity is concealed by the person in a public place by means of a robe, mask, or other disguise, unless based on religious beliefs or incidental to amusement, entertainment, protection from the weather, or medical treatment, is guilty of a misdemeanor. Now, a mask can hide somebody's identity.
Absolutely. Makes a lot easier to commit a crime.
Somebody robs a bank, and they're all wearing, wrestling tights on their face. It makes it hard to identify them.
Well, and this is the thing. I mean, with all the riots in Minneapolis, a lot of those people are hard to track down because they were wearing masks.
They're just hard to track down because they're just nomads who protest all day and don't work.
Or they're hiding out their parents' basement all day and up at night playing video games when they're not out.
Yeah, on their parents' insurance till they're 73. And I got another thing to say quick. When I was at Mille Lacs Casino.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the casino's another place that I'm tolerant of their mask policy because of the average age of the people who go there.
Okay.
I mean, when my wife and I went there, we probably brought the average age down of a person by about 15 years when we went there. Okay, there was almost nobody our age and younger, and I'm not 21 anymore.
Right.
Okay, but I was at one of my favorite, by Da Vinci's Diamonds game, and I pulled my mask down. I had a thing of Diet Coke with me, and I was sipping it. Like one sip every 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Somebody came up to me and said, "Sir, you have to put your mask on between sips."
You're kidding me.
I'm not making it up. I just started laughing. I just said, "Yeah, okay." And she kind of looked at me and kind of half apologized to me. And I said, "Look, lady, it ain't you making the policy. I know it's chief whoever. It's what I mean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This was a worker there doing their job. She wasn't a jerk about it.
Yeah.
And I said, "All right, hey, no problem. I'll just whatever. Maybe I'll put my straw in my ear or something." But I mean, it's that nuts.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, what about all these octogenarians that are there and taking a heater and? Well,
and here's the thing. I thought I'd go there.
Smoke through the mask, I guess.
I've seen that.
Really?
Some lady walking her dog had a hole in her mask so she could smoke. I looked and I'm like, what the hell is that lady in? What's on her face?
And here defeats the purpose.
Yeah, it's like, that's real healthy. You go have your cigarette. But I mean, again, and it's funny, when my wife and I went there, I thought I was going to go and see like every other machine off or sections closed. Everything was on. But everybody was kind of voluntarily, they were already doing that.
Well, that's because that's what we do. I mean, we don't want to get this. I mean,
but again, it brings me back to my mask point. If we're social distancing, why do we need a mask? If we're wearing a mask, why do we need to social distance? Okay, if I can stand there and get a haircut, I should be able to sit next to you at a restaurant.
Well, and that's what some of these things say. I mean, when it is impossible to social distance, that's when you need to wear them. But they also have other situations where just if you're in shared spaces together. Let me finish my list, I guess, and we can...
Finish your frickin' list.
The city of Mankato is requiring people...
I hate that place.
...over the age of 13.
The worst roundabout, the history of Western civilization.
It's also one of the worst load-ins to play at a club. That's a different story. Okay, the city of Mankato is requiring people over the age of 13 to wear a face mask in public spaces such as retail stores, service establishments, and city government buildings. Violators could be charged with a misdemeanor. Any further violations could result in a $200 penalty.
Okay, stop right there.
Yes.
I am going to get really cynical.
Okay.
And remember, we talked off air about what I was going to say. And you know, I like to hide things from you to get your actual reaction.
Yes.
Okay. Am I crazy, or is this possibly I'm not just saying this because I watched Dukes of Hazzard a few times yesterday. Our city's going to use this as a revenue generator? I mean, hear me out. Mm-hmm. We all know that they're not getting property tax revenue. Their new businesses are not going up.
Right.
There's certain things not happening. People are late on the rents, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Is this partly being done? They budget. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know how many people know this. They budget lots of naughty things as revenue. Hey, we're going to catch, Cletus and Enos are going to catch X amount of people speeding. That's revenue.
Yep.
It really happens. I'm not saying...
Yeah, building permits. And
exactly.
fines and,
I mean, they're going to fine a certain amount of people. They're going to get X amount of license fees, blah, 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 blah. They're not getting that right now. So Boss Hogg has to figure out a different way to get that money. Now, listen to Duluth. Yeah. Listen to Duluth's consequences. Those who do not comply will be fined $100 for their first offense. $250 for their second offense.
Wow.
And $1,000 for any, and there's no statute of limitations that I can find on this, at least not in this. I can't find.
Right. So
is your first offense? I mean, it's like kind of like getting a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
You got one when you were 20. It's gone by the time you're 25.
Right.
So I mean, are we going to catch whoever? And start violators could also face misdemeanor prosecution. You could get a criminal record
for not wearing a mask.
$1,000.
What's next? Reckless endangerment?
I don't want to go. I was thinking about that. Don't give them any ideas.
Manslaughter, if somebody...
It could even be murder, depraved indifference.
Yeah. I suppose.
Minnesota defines that as murder, too.
Yeah.
It's like somebody who intentionally spreads AIDS.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying anybody's doing this intentionally, but I mean,
right. But I refuse to wear a mask. Well, I got sick, and I know you were there.
Right. You contact trace or whatever, and find out that Billy Muffet wasn't wearing Billy Muffet. He's the old Tigers pitching coach. Wasn't wearing a mask, and we're gonna test him, and if maybe he's got the antibodies, or maybe he was positive and didn't know it. And now we're going to charge him with reckless whatever. I mean, could that happen? What's stopping them? Remember, all these places are declaring emergencies, which means your normal things, your normal protections are gone. They can eliminate them. Mm-hmm. Okay? I mean, if they can tell you can't leave your house, they can do anything they want to.
That's true.
So, yes, could that happen? Sure.
Absolutely. However, to answer your question, I guess we're going to have to wait and see what some of the language is around this. With the whole shelter-in-place, stay-at-home order, it was all about education, right? And we want to educate people. We don't want to fine people. They still did in some places, but generally they didn't so much. So is that the tack they're going to take with this, or are they're going to start writing people up? And we'll have to see what the language is around it.
Somebody's going to be made an example out of.
Oh yeah,
it'll
happen.
You're going to see the strong arm of something.
It'll probably be me if it happens.
Yeah, and I just love this is what our police are going to do. We'll run around and be the mask or masquerading.
Well, of course. Because the people wearing masks probably are whiteys, and so release the police on the whiteys and keep them out of,
Oh, that was Jason Bradley who said that, by the way. I'm kidding. Yeah.
I'm white.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, say that, but I mean that it's like let's defund the police. So let's keep enough on hand to go mask chasing. Let's. City of Rochester also is requiring face masks to be worn at indoor facilities, including indoor restaurants and bar seating, gyms, public transportation, and retail businesses. Masks are also required by staff and patients while on Mayo Clinic property. Again, you're outside walking around the hospital or whatever. You're on their property.
What if you're in your car? What if you're in the parking lot driving away?
Yeah. I guess technically, till you leave their property, you are not allowed to take off your mask. Are you going to roll up to the...
Is the Mayo Clinic publicly owned?
I'd have to look into that and see if they have a hospital board or what they do.
They're definitely bored.
Yeah. City of Winona is required.
You're still going? You're still going on this?
Winona is in the middle of nowhere. Is requiring all residents and visitors to wear face coverings indoors in public buildings and anywhere where physical distancing is difficult.
Okay, that's a pretty broad statement there. I mean, that's just...
Yeah. Define, is that people that are within 6 feet of each other? Are those two people crossing on a sidewalk? Are those two people...
Well, I'm sure if you're out walking and biking, if they're protesting, it's okay.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But if you're doing anything else,
exclusions for that.
Getting your hair cut, that's a problem.
And lastly, the city of Excelsior is requiring individuals to wear face coverings in indoor areas accessible to the public.
Uh-huh. So basically any government building, any business, anything other than a home.
Yes.
So...
Yes.
I'm torn, though, Jay, between... I don't want a one-size-fits-all anything. I never support a one-size-fits-all. But it's scary how quickly this... Number one, how quickly this stuff is happening. It's just boom, 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 boom. It's like every city's trying to out-fox each other.
Yeah.
I don't know that a debate is really happening. I mean, if it is, it's being led by... Look, by how fast this is happening, it's being led or pushed by somebody.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it is the healthcare industry. I mean, like Duluth, you have Essentia Health. that's their headquarters. You have the Mayo down in Rochester. You have the U of M
is the Mayo
here in this area.
But, I mean, is the Mayo Clinic the one calling up the mayor of Rochester and giving them marching orders? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, she is in close contact with them. I don't know if you've looked at her Twitter feed at all.
I called her a few names the other day. She's an arrogant jerk.
She is in the bag for the DFL, definitely.
Without a doubt. She has higher political ambitions, that's clear. I think she's close with the governor, too. The governor used to be the congressman down there. So
she is.
I'm sure he's close with the big city mayors in District 1, along with the Mayo Clinic. The last time he ran down there, he nearly got beat. So, I mean, point being, though, that generally speaking, I would be in favor of local government taking the lead on something. But like I said before, how long are these emergencies for? I mean, is there a sunset date to these? Is there... we talked about offenses having a statute of limitations.
Yeah.
Are these things? I get the feeling some of these aren't all that well thought out. Enforcement is an issue. I think that's one of the governor's reluctances. Is how am I going to enforce this?
Right.
Who's going to
enforce? He wants to do it, I'm sure.
Walz would have done it a month ago, but I think, and again, this tells me it has nothing to do with science. It has everything to do with politics.
Right.
I think he has to... I think it's hard for him to justify this with all the numbers going down in Minnesota.
Well, off air, you had talked about there was one of them that doesn't start till end of July?
July 23rd. Minnetonka's doesn't start till July 23rd.
July 23rd. I mean, it's okay that they walk around without them now.
Yeah, it's a pandemic. We're all going to die. But for the next 10 days, you can do what you want. That's weird. But, I don't know if that was a compromise reached. I think they're hoping the governor bails them out. But, and I think there are businesses who, with all due respect to them, don't want to be the ones that... I think they want the governor to blame for some of this. It's kind of like... Well, it's not me. Go call the governor. And I think the governor is probably getting it. He's kind of been in a bunker, but the one size fits all. I mean, the idea that we're going to do the same thing in Roseau that we're doing in Minneapolis is again where you lose me. I mean, Lake of the Woods still has not had a coronavirus case.
Right. So we're going to make them wear masks inside.
I mean, it's getting, I'm not saying it's not there. I'm sure it is. Yeah. But I mean, it's getting, like I said, the hysteria. And I think Walz's problem is that how do you, when deaths are down, when ICUs are down, to pre-Easter levels.
Right.
How do you now turn around and make the case that we're going to become New York or California? All the other states around us aren't.
Yeah.
I think he knows again, I think the whole reason the stay-at-home order ended, he wanted to keep it. Mm-hmm. But we were the only one around here. Yep. He knew people were just going to go to Wisconsin. He couldn't control it anymore.
Exactly.
He couldn't enforce it. Local governments announced they weren't going to enforce things, and there's nothing he could do anymore.
Right.
So I think, again, that's where he's at. It has nothing to do with science. It's everything to do with what can I get away with politically? How can I make a case? And I think he's struggling to make that case. He's struggling to make, and I think there has been an uptick in people wearing them, period.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple months ago, I'd see 25% of the people at the grocery store with a mask. Mm-hmm. Now it's more like 75%. I don't wear one because I've had it. Yeah. So I can't give it to you and you can't give it to me. So I know other people don't know that, but it's like, I don't want to wear one. And I don't have to because that's just my attitude.
Right.
I will wear one if somebody forces, like I wore one at the casino. Yeah. I wore one when I was giving my plasma because they required it. Okay, fine. I can live with that. But, to have to wear one all the time, I think is way, way overkill.
Absolutely.
So I don't know where we go from here. I mean, but this idea we're going to have an endless emergency is just preposterous.
Well, that really is the issue here. And with cities, emergency powers, often if they are granted to a mayor, they are short term. And they are defined in the charter or
if it's not short term, then it's not any.
Right. However, what worries me is these things are being passed as ordinances, which those laws go on and on until somebody rescinds that law. And as you and I both well know, lots of bad laws stay on the books for a very long time.
Yeah, and I mean, are you going to rescind it? Is, like I said, is there a sunset date? And it's one thing to pass something as an emergency. It's another thing, like you said, to write an ordinance. And these are supposed to get first and second readings.
Oh, yes.
But again, this emergency stuff they skip over. Normally this would have a public hearing. It would take months to write a new ordinance.
Yes.
You don't just write one up at a work session and vote on it a half an hour later.
Yep.
But clearly that's what these cities are doing. They're just putting it on the agenda and passing it. So, it is an abuse of power. And, as much as I am with you on local government being the most important, there are lots of bad local governments.
Yes, there are.
And I mean, are school districts going to pass this next? I mean,
well, they may not have to. I mean, the Department of Education may say, in order to reopen schools, here's what we require.
Or they may leave it to a school board to say, okay, look, that's what I would do. I would say, look, Robbinsdale is not the same as Crookston, or not the same as
they don't do what we would do.
No, I know.
That's
and these school districts should be developing their own plans right now. They should be doing that.
Yeah, and they may be.
They probably are.
They might just be waiting to see what the governor's going to say, to see if there's going to be any school at all. They may be leaving it in the hands of Education Minnesota.
How can there be no school? How is that possible?
They're already there in California.
California is a foreign country. I mean,
yes.
They're a boil on the buttocks of the world. I mean, the idea that we were toying in May with reopening schools. Remember, schools wasn't called off for the year.
Right.
I was driving up for fishing when I heard about it. Okay,
yes.
So I mean, we toyed with going back 2 months ago. I don't know how seriously, but they were trying to figure out how to do it.
Schools are not going to reopen completely. They're just not. We may see a hybrid where some people go to school 2 days a week, another group goes to school 2 days a week.
What are working families supposed to do then?
Yeah, they don't care.
How about we have school?
They don't care.
How about we have school at night? Let the mom and dad work during. Well, that wouldn't work because then the kid would have to be somewhere. I don't know. It's just it's.
I don't know, but they'll sure take all of our property taxes, and everybody that works in that school district is going to get paid, whether there's school or not.
Yeah, I bet the janitors have been getting paid since March. I wonder what they've been cleaning. I think those erasers are need to be puffed.
I don't know if they do.
There's no pee on the floor. I don't know what they're cleaning right now. So.
There's no throw up in the lunchroom. So
bus drivers, what are they doing? I mean, no offense on those guys and gals. I mean, nothing against them. It's just like, I mean, some of us get laid off and no one cares, but if it's somebody in a school district, it's a crime.
Yeah.
It's just.
I'm not in favor of anybody getting laid off, but
I mean, I never like to see
people getting paid and they're not doing.
But you
job,
also,
it's a public.
But you also have to weigh if their revenue is down.
Yeah. Then
their expenses have to go with it. It can't be we're going to spend this and we got to rob a bank. We don't care. I mean, but they can't have that attitude either.
Yeah, but I would imagine that the teachers' unions have a big seat at that table as far as...
I think they got the only seat at the table.
There's probably some administration and school board members and things like that, too. But
there may be, but they're all on the same team. And then there's the scientists...
Who gets elected to school boards? The people the union endorses.
Yeah, and then there's scientists and doctors who've already been wrong about this thing the entire time, and they're sitting on these boards, too.
Yep.
So you can guarantee that the decision's going to suck.
Yeah, people like you and me aren't sitting in these groups.
I couldn't sit on there because I'd end up using one bullet to shoot them all. So figuratively, no. I mean, I'd be yelling and screaming, and I'd be tranquilized after 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I just think that ultimately, look, people under 18 are not dying from this. They may get sick. I hate saying that because I sound like I'm minimizing it.
Right.
But ultimately, you can't sacrifice these kids' education. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. They have to be in school. They have to have activities. They've probably already forgotten everything they learned in their virtual classroom. They probably were playing Super Mario Brothers or whatever the kids do today while that was going on.
Yeah.
I think it ended up being a waste. And the longer that this takes, the more kids you're going to lose. You talk about an achievement gap, the more and more kids you're going to lose. And these working families, these single parents, I mean, what do you expect? How do you expect a single mom who goes to work every day to have her kids stay home, and then she has to stay home, or he, it could be a dad too. I mean, how in the world is that supposed to work for an entire school year? It ain't.
No.
So I mean, they've got to go back. I think what should happen is it's like, look, here's what I would do. So you guarantee Walz won't do it. I'd say, you know what? Look, everybody, they're coming back. You figure it out. Mm-hmm. Okay? I can't come up with something that will satisfy everybody, and he can't.
Every school building's different, too.
I mean, is holding classes outside in nice weather? Is holding classes in the gymnasium? Holding classes in the cafeteria when nobody's effing eating lunch? I mean, aren't there any options that we have?
It's got to be.
Put
them in the boiler room.
I'm just throwing things out there that could you, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's got to be some way. And if I were the governor, I would just say, look, when I'm governor, I would just say, look, you're going to figure it out. Businesses have figured it out. Place I work figured it out. You figured it out in your personal life. The grocery stores have figured it out. If they can, why can't a school? Yeah. Kids are going to the grocery store. They're getting their hair cut. They're outside. Yeah. They're swimming. Why can't they be? My nephew's playing baseball. Why is it that they can't be in school?
If our houses of knowledge can't figure it out,
churches
for themselves,
can figure it out. I don't know. Yeah. The houses of knowledge can't figure it out. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Jay, it's come to that time again, and we're gonna have a brief sermon today because I'm tired.
Really?
And I can't even remember all your nicknames. I'll remember the Rowdy of Piper. Okay? The Count of Monte Cristo.
Yes.
Right?
That's true.
The King of Sting, the Master of Disaster, and I know I'm forgetting one. Doesn't matter.
The best one, and I'm drawing a blank too.
Really? Okay. Oh, the Suffering of Succotash.
That's it. Yeah.
Jason Bradley, we have come to that point where you send us off enthusiastically with a list of things to do, a list of trouble that we're going to get into that you caused. It is.
Some truth to that.
It is SOS, the sign-off sermon.
Oh, you may be tired, but I'm tired of all this. I tell you what. I am tired of COVID-19. I am tired of people running rampant through our streets, shooting people up. I'm tired of people talking about taking and getting rid of the police. I'm tired.
Bad boys. Sorry.
You know, and this is the sad thing. I mean, there are so many people that are just desperate for a little bit of a break. And they just want things to go back to normal. I don't know if they ever are going to go back to normal. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. But we cannot continue to pine for what was. People who are survivors. People who make it and are successful. They look at their circumstances. They look at their surroundings and they go, here's the way forward. Here's what we got to do. We got to keep on living. We cannot let life stop because there's I'm sorry. I love what the press called it, the Kung Flu.
Oh.
Sorry.
Isn't that a song?
That's funny. I don't know. Anyways, I know it's a little insensitive, but it was funny. Anyways, whether it's a virus, whether it is rioting in the streets, whether it is financial crash, whatever it is, we got to be able to pick ourselves up by the bootstraps, and we got to be able to find a way forward. This is America. We have created a generation of entitled people that want somebody else to do it for them all the time, and to be told what to do, and that's not the America that I remember. It's not the America that I was told that we were. The America that took it to a king that was a tyrant. And we came out on the other side of that. We're not going to put up with that anymore. And yeah, we lost a whole lot of battles, and we almost lost that war. But then the tides turned. Good people stood up and they fought hard. We had good leadership, good moral people like George Washington. Made a covenant with God himself. And from that point on began winning battles. And we saw us overcome the British, the birth of a nation. And really, as that Constitution came together, so many time bombs were put in there to get rid of slavery. So no matter what these people want to tell you, I got a question for you, all you anti-slavery people, and I don't mean the people who are opposed to slavery. I mean the people who, all you white people mostly, who want to put guilt on somebody that you have to have a government solution to get rid of racism, the anti-racism people. You say America's a bad place. You talk about America's original sin with slavery. What have you done to end slavery? We have more slaves in the world now than we have ever had. We have more slaves here than we have ever had. And what are you doing to end slavery now? Or do you just want to complain about what was? Well, we put an end to that. We were one of the early ones to put an end to that. And we started doing it in 1776. That Constitution was written to keep a union together. The Declaration of Independence says that all of the colonies were unanimous. In order to keep South Carolina and Georgia in that and not separate away from that, they had to take out some very strong language about ending slavery, because at that point it was more important to keep the Union together so that they could eventually end slavery than it was to break apart where we would still be under a king. And who knows when slavery would have went away. You don't believe me? Do the research. It's out there. Go look at the original draft of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, I'll just wait for the movie. Oh, I'm sorry.
You'll wait for the Cliff's Notes is what you'll do.
Cleveland Notes. Only way I can read Shakespeare. Sorry, Jay, I interrupted.
It's all right. So we are faced with having to learn how to survive and thrive in this time. Because we're Americans and that's what we do. That's what we do best. Is taking a difficult situation, learning how to overcome, and learning how to persevere. So where are all the people that want to persevere with me? I hear lots of complaining. I see lots of people spouting off here and there, but what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to vote in November. Well, that's great. That's good. But what are you doing today? What are you doing today? How are you getting yourself involved? Because if you stand up and say, I'm an American, I'm a libertarian conservative, whatever, I believe in these things, but then you don't do anything about it, you really don't believe in those things. They sound good on paper. You might like the idea of those things, but you don't believe in those things. Because if you believe in something, you back it up, you walk it, you live it every day. And if you're not willing to walk it out and live it, if you're not willing to put some skin in the game and sacrifice a little comfort for making, in America's most critical time, at least since the Civil War, if not completely, sacrificing a little comfort to make sure that we preserve the America that we hold dear, and you really don't believe it. But I don't believe that of our listeners. I believe that our listeners are people who want to be engaged, people that want to be a part of something, people that don't just want to complain, but actually want to make something happen. Because I know we have some amazing listeners. And I know we have some people that we have trained ourselves and got into city councils and school boards and county commissions, county boards, advisory commissions. And I know that there's more of you out there. You just don't know how to get started. Well, that's why we're here. We are here to help you get in the game, because it's going to take all of us making sure that we put up a wall and say no, no more, no further. Your tyranny is over. You are not going to push us around. You are not going to make us do things that you have no right to make us do. I believe in you guys, and I know Andrew believes in you guys. And that's why we do this every week, because we want to keep you informed on the cutting edge of what's happening at the local level, because that is where we have the most impact. We have very little impact over what's going on in Washington. We have little more over what's going on in St. Paul. But it's where we live that we can make the most difference now. We've got our cities beginning to do some very bad things. We need to stop it. Join our team. Team 20K. That's all we need. That's like in between 1% and 2% of the people who think like us statewide. It's Not a lot. So we need you to get a hold of us. I mean, whether you're telling us about what's going on in your area or you actually want to get in the game and do something about this. COMM Solutions, MN@gmail.com.
And I want to say Kung Fu, it is a song.
Kung Fu, not Kung Flu. That's what you spent the whole time doing while I've been pouring my heart out to the state of Minnesota.
Wait, I've been looking this up.
You've been looking that up so that we can pay
I just had to make sure I was right. This kind of reminds me of teen night at the YMCA when I was younger. I bet this song is considered offensive now.
I don't know.
Little Johnny Chan or something he said? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not an expert on those lyrics. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm reading them and they spelled everybody wrong.
Oh boy.
It's as bad as that one song that I didn't know the lyrics. Remember that one song? Doesn't matter. I don't remember. Anyway, Jay.
Yes. That is COMM Solutions, MN@gmail.com. Please do get a hold of us despite our inability to stick with anything for more than about 3 seconds. I counted to 10.
We
will stick through it to help you. We have helped people win in the past, and we will help you win if that is what you want to do. We got when is the next thing due, Andrew? Candidacy for the filing of candidacy. Yeah, non-primary.
July 28th through primary day, I want to say.
It is coming fast. You better make a decision now. If you're in a non-primary city, get in the game. Do it. Do it. I think all counties have already filed. But I think a majority of cities have.
I don't know about a majority, but I know there's a fair amount.
A large number, yes. So, if you want to make a difference, here's your chance, or you're stuck for another 2 years. And you've seen how fast things have gone this year. Just imagine how much faster things are going to snowball if you don't get in it. Imagine. You think things have changed this year? You just wait and see what happens over the next 2 years if we don't start to do something now. Hey, we're here. Just call our name, and we'll be there. What are you laughing at?
Think of another song.
Oh, boy.
Just call our names, and we'll be there. Isn't that a song?
It is so good that I picked the music at the beginning of the show.
You know, I could sing some more.
It would be a Spotify playlist full of Dionne Warwick, Barbara Streisand.
I heard another Dwight Yankum song today. Oh, boy. I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere. I don't see no time mattering to me, or something. I don't know, something like that. I almost sang it when you talked about Winona because it was in the middle of nowhere, and I made me think of Dwight Yankum.
Oh boy. Oh, we love you, Minnesota. Now it's your turn to get to work.
Get to